Hello and welcome to the What Northern Ireland Means to Me podcast, presented by me, Julia Paul. This series has been produced by Shared Future News to mark the centenary of Northern Ireland and is funded by the Heritage Fund on behalf of the Northern Ireland Office. Shared Future News provides information and personal stories on the topics of peace building, reconciliation and diversity to a Northern Ireland audience and beyond. In this episode, Deirdre MacBride, who's originally from Newtownstewart in County Tyrone and describes herself as a person of this place, tells us what Northern Ireland means to her.
It means family and friends and the rich life that I have here in what is a beautiful place. But it's also a place that I've left at times, college in London, and to work, to go and live somewhere where bread and butter issues were the issues. As I grew up through the early years of the Troubles, Newtownstewart was still one of those places that managed to have a civic week. And I grew up in a place with a rich archaeological heritage of O'Neill castles, of standing stones, dolmens and crauchogels, a Gaelic landscape. And when I came back, I suppose because I wanted to know my parents better before they got old. I was homesick and I wanted to work here. In those early years of returning in the late 80s and in the early 90s, this also became a place of tragedy for me, as my youngest brother, Aegon, was beaten up in a sectarian attack in North Belfast in February 1992, which left him with a severe brain injury, which meant that he couldn't live a normal life or look after himself until he died in 2016, in June, aged 55. And in those early months when Aegon was in a coma, what I remember is also the kindness of people that I worked with in North Belfast, both Catholic and Protestant, who were kind and who were gentle to me and who understood tragedy. And as the peace process unfolded, my hopes rose and I was drawn to work more on issues of peace and division. And I thought I would judge success in this place by whether we could have integrated the schools in 20 years. A job that we are maybe now only just beginning. And my hopes for the future are based on the work that I've done over the last 10 years, really, which has been working on the decade of centenaries and how we remember, without causing division, the years of state formation, which were from 1912 to 1923. And this was a place that was born in sectarian violence. And I hope that as we approach the 50th anniversaries of the Troubles, that we can do so in a way that enables us to remember ultimately all of the dead. I look with respect at the families of communities who remembered those they lost. And I think that ultimately part of our journey and part of my hopes for how we deal with the next period is that we don't recount every awful thing that happened, but that we find a way of remembering our own, those dead, those injured, but also those of the other. And it reminds me of why I stopped watching the news when I came back to Northern Ireland in the late 80s, because I got tired of seeing REC officers being blown to bits and their funerals and their families and their colleagues, because they were part of my community too.
What Northern Ireland Means to Me is produced by Shared Future News. Our staff include Alan Leonard, Alan Maben and Julia Paul. Our theme song is Figure in the Fog by Jordan McMurray, with thanks to Music Paths. This and other episodes with transcripts are available at the Shared Future News website, sharedfuture.news. You can also follow us on Facebook at Shared Future News and Twitter at Shared Future. If you would like to suggest someone for a future episode of What Northern Ireland Means to Me, please email us at editor@sharedfuture.news. Thanks for listening.